The Denver Broncos open up the season hosting Cam Ward, the number one overall pick, and the Tennessee Titans. I don't think anybody's really predicting the Tennessee Titans to make the playoffs this year or anything, but I am one of those people that believes that at the end of the year, Cam Ward's going to have 2 or 3 wins that the Titans would not have gotten without him. I don't know if this is going to come at Denver week 1, but I know it's coming at some point because he's that caliber of a player. Dalton, where do you want to start this conversation with the Titans?
I mean, let's just start right there. I mean, the story on the Titans side is just, what does Cam Ward look like in week 1? What is the baseline that we're dealing with, and what can we see him improve with the rest of the year? I think the one thing that we saw in all 3 preseason games, just like he did when he was at Incarnate Word, when he was at Washington State, when he was at Miami, he's going to attack downfield. And when you look at his numbers and the way that he attacked in that 10-plus yard range deeper down the field at Miami last year, he's the best vertical passer in the country. That's the reason he went number 1 overall. Best passing grade in the country last year in college football on 10-plus yard throws. 31 big-time throws, second in the nation behind Kyle McCord. Shout out Max Chadwick. 25 pass touchdowns on 10-plus yard throws, third in the nation in completion percentage. And the one thing I'll say, and this sounds odd for Denver's secondary, who was so fundamentally sound last year for the most part, they did have the 4th worst deep coverage grade, 20-plus yard throws in the league last year. Now, I think they've patched that up a bit. And when you play as much single high as they do, that can happen. But you talk about getting Jahdae Barron to alleviate that, getting Talanoa Hufanga, which allows Brandon Jones to play back deep more often. Pat Surtain's obviously the defensive player of the year. So I think, look, Cam Ward, fearless is the word. I think that's the first word that comes to mind with him. I think he's going to be fearless against this defense that's really, really good. Win or lose, he's going to chuck it downfield. He's going to give it everything he has, and we have proof of that. 5 years of college and 3 different schools, he's going to sling it downfield. How do the Broncos respond? If they contain that, I'm not really sure where the Titans offense goes from there.
Yeah, look, anybody who's watched this show over the last week knows how high I am on the Broncos. I think that they're going to win the AFC West this year. I think they're a legit team to make some noise into the playoffs. I don't know if they're quite there yet with Bo Nix, but I think they're certainly well on their way with a head coach that I respect a lot and what could be the best defense in the NFL. You mentioned, the Broncos struggling a little bit in deep coverage. It felt like that was one of the only areas where they really struggled on the defensive side of the ball this year, and I think that they could certainly be better this year. And speaking of being better, I'll go to the other side of things for Denver. I was really encouraged by what I saw from Bo Nix in the preseason. I know, it's the preseason, but still, I think processes and confidence definitely matter a lot in this regard. When you look at Bo Nix last season, it was a good season and a rookie year for Bo Nix. Time to throw was 3.02 on average for that full season schedule. On the 2 games that he played in the preseason, albeit, of course, small sample size, 2.55 and 2.65 was Nix's time to throw in both of those games, which is significantly faster, getting that not only under 3, but closer towards one of the fastest time to throws in the NFL, right? Is that 2.60 average for the preseason. That is much less than I think the 2.73, 2.74 time to throw that I believe the average was in the NFL among starting quarterbacks last season. And so if Nix is speeding up his process even more, if he's recognizing things pre-snap, if he knows where to go with the football, not only are those turnover-worthy plays still going to be down, which we know that we saw that from his Oregon days, he's gotten a lot better at that, but the big-time throws are also going to go up because he's going to be able to see things post-snap that he is expecting. So he gets to operate with more confidence. He isn't just reacting. He's truly anticipating. He knows where he's going to go with the football, and he's going to see that once the ball is snapped. So that time to throw being lower is a very key stat for Bo Nix because it means that the offense is operating even faster than it was the previous season, and he's operating with even more confidence. If you give me that, I like the pass catchers that they have there. They seem to be playing really well, even better than they did last year. Of course, Courtland Sutton's the guy that they're going to run it through. If RJ Harvey can be that guy out of the backfield, we know they've got a damn good offensive line, which a sneaky good-on-good matchup here. Tennessee Titans were top 5 in run defense last year, and the Broncos were one of the best run-blocking offensive lines in the NFL. So that's, I think, an under-talked about good-on-good here. I think people are going to note how good the Broncos' offensive line is, but for as much as the Titans roster is incomplete, that is a strength of their game. So they're certainly going to bring it on that side of the ball too. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Bo Nix is like and what that time to throw looks like out of the gate. Because if it's close to what we saw this preseason, I think the Broncos are going to be pretty dang good this year.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic you just mentioned in the run game as well, because that is a great matchup, especially when you look at the Titans' defensive tackles. This was the second highest graded group of defensive tackles behind Philadelphia last year in the NFL. And when you look at Denver, if it's me, the most important part for the Titans' defensive tackles here, Jeffrey Simmons, Tavondre Sweat, and Sebastian Joseph Day as well, you've got to occupy blockers at the first level and keep your linebackers free. If they get Quinn Miners, especially up to that second level on a really inexperienced group of linebackers, there's going to be huge problems on the ground for Tennessee as well as through the air, obviously. So I think that's a big thing. Simmons and Sweat occupying blockers gives them a chance to be free, play in space, make tackles to prevent those explosive runs. And then you mentioned in the passing game, I think you have a quarterback who's getting more comfortable, speeding up within the offense, knowing also that he has the best pass protecting unit from last year in the NFL. Bo Nix, I think the entire thing with me, I'm going to get to the prediction here. I have the Broncos 30 and the Titans 16. The Broncos just don't beat themselves, right? And I think against a team like this that's so young and they're trying to figure things out along the way. And I think Cam Ward, I think they're very well is probably a turnover or two coming, because he's a gunslinger and he's going to attack no matter what the score is, and he's going to believe he can make plays. But this defense is loaded. The Broncos offensive line is a good matchup with that Titans defensive line. Bo is going to continue to get better. I think there's some elements where maybe we'll see if they get it going in the run game, but I think this is too much for Tennessee to try to go on the road and do in Cam Ward's first game here. 30-16 Broncos.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a warm-up period for the Broncos offense. I've got them scoring 24, but I've got the Titans scoring 13. I think that Cam's going to have a couple of throws that are really nice in this game, but ultimately, the reason why I don't think they're going to win this one is because I think the 13 score, I think that they will get a touchdown. I think they'll have a drive that'll look really nice, and Cam will orchestrate that, but I'm not so sure they have that consistency to be able to turn red zone opportunities or plus side of the field opportunities into touchdowns instead of field goals. That I still think is something that they're going to work out. Whether they get there with some spectacular throws and plays or not, I think stringing that together and turning advantageous field position into 7 points instead of 3 points, that's where I feel like they're going to fall short in this game. So I don't think it'll be a crazy blowout or anything, and I do think that Cam Ward is going to get his in this one. Also, shout out Alec Maynor, who I think was listed as a starting wide receiver for the depth chart for week 1. But I do think that the Broncos win this one by about 10 points. So 24-13 is the score that I have there.